What's up, everybody? How are you doing? This is Micah Dobbins, and I want to welcome you to the Micah Dobbins Show, powered by Misfits of Media, featured on Preeminent Radio, and I'm hoping you guys are having a wonderful Friday. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the rundown. We're going to do a couple of things different on today's episode, but there's going to be some things that you're used to, so I got some segments that are familiar, and I'm going to be introducing maybe a couple of new segments as well to you. If you have not checked in already, be sure to go to the Micah Dobbins Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and make sure that you subscribe and follow and like and share and help to get the word out. Also, you can find me on my website, www.themicahdobbinsshow.com. Be sure to sign up as we're going to have our November newsletter coming out, and we want to make sure you guys get it. So be sure that you check into that, and we're going to go ahead and get right into our show. All right, so today we're going to go ahead and start with our national news segment. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to learn some things that's going on in different places across the nation. So the first story I want to break to you guys is Amazon Pharmacy. Many of you are familiar with Amazon, Jeff Bezos' company, which started out, of course, selling books in a garage, but now sells just about everything and has just about everybody joining and becoming a Prime member. Well, right now, Amazon has now announced that they're going to be entering into the pharmaceutical game, and that really brought a big buzz to the drug industry. So I'm going to read this report right quick from the Wall Street Journal. It says Amazon has driven innovation and competition across the retail industry, from supermarkets to books. Now is gunning for pharmacies, which could force healthy changes across America's scholaric health care system. All right, it says on Tuesday, the retail and cloud computing giant announced that it is launching an online pharmacy that will deliver common medications, including insulin and asthma inhalers, with free 2-day shipping for its Prime members. The move was facilitated by its purchase 2 years ago of PillPack, the online pharmacy and startup that sorts packages and delivers medication. So we wanted you guys to know that this is something that's going to be kind of groundbreaking and changing, because many people may have been used to going to CVS or going to Walgreens, or maybe you're used to going to Walmart or Kroger or wherever you shop in your local city for your pharmaceuticals. But if you're an Amazon Prime member, you're going to have free 2-day shipping, and they're going to say they can get it to you faster than some of the other places where you can normally get your medication shipped. And we all know how Amazon is. They have really been moving into all kind of territory. I mean, from wholesale foods, they're just doing it all right now. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit more of this story. They bought out PillPack, as I stated earlier, 2 years ago. And after buying out PillPack, they decided that they're going to go ahead and engage in this industry. PillPack came with licenses to operate in 49 states, as well as technology and logistical infrastructure that Amazon has further developed. Amazon's success in the highly regulated prescription drug market is by no means guaranteed, but its entrance has made muscular incumbents take notice and raise their game. CVS and Walgreens now offer fast and free prescription drug delivery. Retail pharmacies have also been adding services to their stores to increase value to their customers. CVS has expanded its Minute Clinics that provide urgent care and is launching 1,500 health hubs that offer screenings and blood tests for chronic conditions. Even Walmart is stepping up their game right now. And you have to have understanding of how Amazon has been like just dominating and crushing many of these industries. It is a great big company. It is growing. We shared with you guys a while ago about, some of the things going on with Google and the Trump administration's lawsuit. And another company that they were targeting, of course, was the social media companies and the digital companies, the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Twitters. All of these different companies are actually, finding themselves under fire lately because they have grown a great deal. And Amazon is definitely a behemoth of a company right now. As you look at the cost of pharmaceutical drugs, and you look at how, a lot of people in America, unfortunately, we don't really eat as healthy as we should. We're not as healthy as we should be. So a lot of people are kind of dependent upon these kind of things. So I can imagine Amazon really taking a big chunk in this industry and causing other companies, as we've read today, to start shaking some things up and offering people more bang for the buck. Because at this point, Amazon has nothing to lose. They already have people becoming Prime members. They have Prime Day. They already have people watching television through Amazon. Shout out to them also. That's going to be carrying the Micah Dobbins Show. So you have so many different things going on right now. And this is just yet another story that I want to share with you guys about the pharmaceutical industry. And we're going to make sure that we keep abreast of the changes and see where this is going to go in the near future. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into our second story. Our second story for our national news. A lot of people are surprised to hear this. Some of them have even left comments on the Micah Dobbins Show Facebook page. Make sure you check that out because you can find a lot of these trending stories on the Micah Dobbins Show Facebook page. But George Clooney made the news this week. This story was taken by CNN. And it was dropped November 18th. But it said George Clooney once gave 14 friends $1 million each in cash. All right, cha-ching, cha-ching, $1 million each to his friends in cash. And I'm going to read this story, but just as a precursor, I'm going to read some of the comments that I got. I know one of the comments I got, Sister Lamika Larry said, does he need any more friends? I know that's right. Like, does this guy need any more friends? Because if he's giving out 14 million, I could just imagine $1 million each to each friend. A lot of people would have been glad to have been in that number. I also had another comment. Just bear with me while I pull it up really fast because I want to go ahead and get that up. Let's see. The other comment I got was from Byron Timothy. And Byron Timothy says, all right, here we go. All right, I got it. Exactly what I was thinking to Lamika Larry. So Byron said, hey, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, does this guy need any more friends? Because if you got 14 million and you're giving away $1 million each cash, we can hang out, George. But at any rate, let me go ahead and read this story brought to you by CNN. It said George Clooney's a family man now, and he mostly stays off screen, opting to spend time with his young children and his wife, international human rights lawyer Amal Clooney. But before he settled down, he squeezed one more outrageous, if generous, caper when he visited a warehouse in an undisclosed location to pick up $14 million in cash to surprise his closest friends with. And it almost reminds you like of a scene of like Ocean's 11 or something. But, for George Clooney just roll up on his friends, and I'm sure they didn't see it coming. He probably was like, hey guys, I want to hang out. I'm getting married. I'm going to be settled down, but I just thought it'd be a good thing if we could just have a good talk or a chat. But before he did that, he goes to a warehouse and picks up $14 million in cash. Can you imagine how he probably felt even traveling with that much money? I know his nerves were probably shot that day. But it says that he shared the anecdote in an interview with GQ, which crowned Clooney as Icon of the Year among other honorees like Megan Thee Stallion and Trevor Noah. It's the first time he's confirmed the big dollar story and even expanded upon it since his friend Randy Gerber shared it on MSNBC back in 2017. Clooney sets the scene in his interview. He was appearing in Gravity, a thriller set in space, co-starring Sandra Bullock. The film wasn't expected to be a hit when it was released in 2013, so Clooney said he was given percentages of the movie in lieu of a salary. All right, so he did pretty good with that. He said, take a percentage of the back end. And I believe there was also a story of Tom Cruise doing that with the Mission Impossible series. Instead of Tom getting his money on the front end, he said, I want a piece of the franchise. And you see how many movies he's made with that franchise, and he's continuing to be paid. So that was kind of genius of him. But it said the astronaut thriller ended up being a hit anyway. So Clooney walked away with a few $1 million. He didn't have a family then, and he wasn't yet married. So instead of saving it, he opted to give it away in cash to his closest friends. Boy, now that is crazy. He didn't have a family, obviously, and a wife, but to just say, hey, you know what, man, I just got like 14 million. And it may have been more than 14 million, but at least we know it was 14 that he was willing to give away. And yeah, some people say, well, it's a tax write-off for him, but just to know that he was that cool as a celebrity, to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just, give a couple of my best friends $1 million each in cash, not like a check where they got to wait a long time for it to clear, but to say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you all guys this in cash. That was pretty cool. And I'm going to continue with the story. It says, and I thought, without them, I don't have any of this, he said of his friends. And we're all really close. And I just thought, basically, if I get hit by a bus, they're all in the will. So why, and he used expletive, am I waiting to get hit by a bus? I guess if you're going to give him something now. So as Clooney tells GQ's Zach Barron, he drove an old van to a warehouse downtown Los Angeles where they have giant pallets of cash, filled luggage with $14 million worth, and called his friends over to his home. I just held up a map and I pointed out all the places I got to go in the world and all the things I've gotten to see because of them, he told GQ. And then I said, how do you repay people like that? And I said, oh, well, how about $1 million? It's one of several personal tidbits Clooney shares in the expansive interview, in which he also discusses how he learned the art of acting on ER and the time he fell and spinal fluid leaked from his nose on a film set in a motorcycle accident, which he miraculously emerged relatively unscathed. The interview appears in GQ's December and January issue. So I thought that was pretty cool that, George Clooney was willing to do that for his friends. I remember I have a friend of mine. She's passed last year. She passed last year, unfortunately. Her name was Patricia Ware, but Miss Pat was a good friend of mine. And I remember Miss Pat, she lived in LA for a while and had traveled and done some things. And I remember specifically one time we were talking and she shares me a story. I believe it was about Oprah and Gayle King. And forgive me if I don't remember it perfectly, but she told me the story when something like Oprah and Gayle had been friends for a long time, as everybody knows, and now she's all on TV, and she gave Gayle crazy jobs. But before all that, they were saying that Gayle, at that point, didn't, have the wealth that Oprah had, or still doesn't, but just didn't have a wealthy status, obviously. And the story I was told was Oprah invited her to hang with her at a party, and there were like a lot of millionaires there. And Gayle was saying, Oprah, I'm not comfortable going because, everybody there is going to be a millionaire and I'm just like an average. And the story that I was told by Miss Pat at the time was that Oprah wrote a check for like $1 million and gave it to Gayle and said, okay, now you're a millionaire. Come on, let's go to the party. So I never was able to confirm the story. I haven't interviewed Oprah or Gayle to find out if it was true, but I remember hearing rumors of it, just as there were rumors that George Clooney gave away $14 million. And it's kind of awesome that he went ahead and just spilled the beans on CNN and gave them the true story. So shout out to George Clooney for that. That was pretty cool. I'm sure those friends will never forget him. All right, we're going to move to another story. We're going to go ahead and move to another story because there's a couple of things that we want to talk about on a more serious note as well. The Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, actually gave us more insight, and this was also taken from CNN Business. Basically, he said, we're never going back to the old economy. And this is serious, guys, because I share with you guys on this show, Entrepreneur's Wisdom. We talk about your health is your wealth. We talk about finance and investments. So I try to get national news that covers a gambit of subjects, some entertaining, some may be funny, some are serious. Some will make you kind of think and make you go, But this particular story was reported. It said the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, doubled down on his remarks that the economy as we know it is over during a virtual appearance Tuesday at the Bay Area Council Business Hall of Fame Awards ceremony. We're not going back to the same economy. We're going back to a different economy, Powell said, echoing comments that he made at the European Central Banks Forum on central banking last week. The pandemic has accelerated ongoing trends, including the increasing use of technology, automation, and telework, Powell said last Thursday. And while these changes will be beneficial for some, they will hurt certain groups in the short term. On Tuesday, Powell also reiterated that people in lower income jobs haven't recovered as much as others, and that workers in the service industry might need more help going forward. You think? I really believe that this is something we should take note of. Yes, we may not go back to the economy the way it was. We may not get back to the numbers that we had before. Hopefully, we can turn the ship around, but there will be room for new things. And some of the things that he pointed out as far as how the pandemic has affected, as far as the technology and telework and all these things, this is true. They're finding a lot of people are enjoying working from home. A lot of people are actually getting, they have, a feeling of satisfaction, just not having to commute to work and battling traffic. And in some cases, they're more productive. I'm sure some cases there are companies that can report that some employees maybe slack a little bit more. I remember hearing and reading a report of people, being able to go like to the grocery store or to walk their dog in the midst of kind of, being on the clock, and just as long as the work is done. Or I remember my cousin was sharing how, they called her and asked for a report while she was walking around through Kroger in her neighborhood, shopping. It might have been Publix, wherever she was at. But at any rate, obviously things are going to change. And I know that people have said Zoom stock and things have gone through the roof because schools and businesses and everybody had to do Zoom. I remember our church was looking for the Elgato Cam link, a link to connect your camera, your HD camera to your computer. And I remember we were struggling to find the Elgato Cam link. They were like sold out. And it took us probably a couple of months before we got one because of the pandemic. So yes, technology, teleworking, automation, all these things are changing. And the old vanguard, or the people that worked in the service industry, a lot of restaurants are closing because people are no longer eating out because of the pandemic. As we look across our nation, people are losing jobs and things like that because of the pandemic. So I could just imagine that, it's going to be a while before we hit a real recovery. And I even heard a report this week where they were stressing that they need to go ahead and try to get some form of stimulus to help the people, and not to worry about the price tag. I know everybody's, not everybody, but I personally, a lot of people are worried about the national deficit. But right now, we may not be able to worry about those things as we're just trying to survive the year of COVID-19, 2020. It has been a mess. So I'm going to read a little further. It also says that the recovery is incomplete, he said, warning of near-term risks surrounding the resurgence of COVID-19 infections. We have a long way to go. The central banker has repeatedly said that more fiscal and monetary stimulus was likely needed to help with the recovery. The Fed slashed interest rates to near zero in March and launched a series of lending programs to support the recovery since the crisis started. Meanwhile, Powell said it wasn't the right time to worry about the fiscal health of the United States, even as the government is spending trillions to help boost the economy. Rather, the issue should be addressing when unemployment is low again. The issue should be addressed when unemployment is low again and tax revenues are rolling in. That's the time to really focus, he said. So, he's basically recognizing that, guys, we're going to be in a new industry. We're going to be dealing with a lot of new challenges after this COVID thing. For those who were invested in stock and were able to invest in like Pfizer and all these companies that are doing vaccines, I'm sure they're smiling ear to ear. But for those who may have invested in stocks when the economy was up, perhaps if it was, restaurants, or if you was invested in Guitar Center, they just announced bankruptcy. A lot of, like I said earlier, restaurants have closed. If you invested in, retail stores and, those kind of things, obviously things may not be going as well in your financial world right now. But for those who are able to take advantage of the pandemic and the changes, not so much taking advantage when it comes to the sickness or the people, but I mean take advantage of the opportunities to start business right now. You may be able to create a company, especially if you've been laid off and you're getting unemployment and you're getting stimulus money and your bills are actually okay, they're being paid. You may be able to take that and possibly start you something, a home-based business, get you a skill set, work on the computer, learn some different things while you have this downtime so that when everything begins to pick up, you'll be able to recover. You're going to find there's some people during the Great Depression started businesses and companies that are thriving and doing very well today. And they say that sometimes it's better to start things in a downward turn than while everything is going good, just to help with supply and demand. All right, so we're going to go to our final story. We have one more story we're going to share with you guys before we close out our national news segment. And the last story was presented by Politico California. And basically this last story is California has not only been continuing as far as their lockdown, but they're actually announcing a curfew today. It said Newsom orders California curfew as coronavirus cases surge. Oakland, California, Governor Gavin Newsom has ordered that there's the California into a state curfew escalating his response to rapidly rising coronavirus numbers. More than 94% of Californians must remain in their homes between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless performing essential activities. The requirement applies to the 41 counties that have landed in the state's most restrictive tier due to a wide coronavirus spread. The virus is spreading at a pace we haven't seen since the start of this pandemic, and the next several days and weeks will be critical to stop the surge. We are sounding the alarm, Newsom said in a statement. It is critical that we act to decrease transmission and slow hospitalizations before the death count surges. We've done it before. We must do it again. Their curfew will start Saturday night at 10 p.m. and last until 5 a.m. on December 21st, more than a full month. To explain the curfew, Newsom's statement essentially said higher spread occurs during activities fueled by inebriation and late night antics, warning of social activities and gatherings that have a higher likelihood of leading to a reduced inhibition. California Health and Human Services Secretary Mark Galey emphasized that reasoning, telling reporters that Californians engaged in late night activities risk spreading the virus to people with health risks. So basically they're saying that, hey, listen, people get in, they're drinking, they're partying, they're having a good time, they're doing things they shouldn't do at night. So their remedy is if we keep them locked in at night, because obviously those that are reveling or going out and doing the risky activities are the ones that are causing the spread to happen and can possibly infect healthy people. Not healthy people, but people who have health issues, rather. So they're saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this overnight lockdown unless you're an essential worker. I really empathize for the people of California. We here are in Georgia. We've been open for quite some time, but I got family. My sister Amy, shout out in California, and her kids, shout out to her. And when I'm talking with her, she's just expressing some of the things they've been going through in that state. And I know that it's got to be difficult. So, Cali, you guys hang in there, and hopefully this will all be over soon. I did see there was a press release today. I didn't have my notes or my information from it, so we're not going to fully report on it. But there was a press release the White House did today, and they haven't done a press release in a while. I think the last one may have been like in June or something like that. But they did a press release today, and Anthony Fauci, all of them was on there, Vice President Mike Pence, etc. And they were speaking on how now they have a vaccine that's going to be coming soon, and help is on the way, but we got to lock down just one more time, guys. We got to lock everybody down just one more time till we can, beat this thing. So hopefully, guys, I'm praying that God will really heal the land, that it will not be a problem for us, but I don't see it going away anytime soon, to be technically honest. I got to keep it real with you guys as an independent voice. We'll probably be dealing with a little bit of more corona around 2021, and maybe by that summer, maybe later, hopefully. It may be behind, but it depends on how things go. And we have to keep in mind, not everybody is trusting of this vaccine. I heard Dr. Fauci trying to, seal the deal with everybody and tell them that no shortcuts were really taken, that this was something that's really been tested and scientifically proven, and we're just waiting, to get the FDA approval. So we'll see, guys. We'll see what happens with that. But I wanted to go ahead and report that. This is Micah Dobbins. You are listening to and watching the Micah Dobbins Show. Hopefully you guys are going to check us out. We have our podcast available on Anchor FM. You can also check it out on Spotify, and I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. So be sure to check out the MicahDobbinsShow.com website as well. Like, share, subscribe on all of those platforms, and we'll be back with our next segment.